Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, John Entsminger is here. He's the general manager of the Southern Nevada Water Authority, here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Ahern Rentals began as Signal Gas Station on Las Vegas Boulevard. Founder John Ahern grew the business by offering rentals. His son Don built on John's legacy, growing Ahern Rentals into the largest independently owned American rental company, with 89 locations in 30 states. Don also brought his experience and vision to equipment manufacturing with Extreme Manufacturing and Snorkel. Today, Ahern Rentals continues to bring its family values to a new generation. Learn more at ahern.com.
I'm here at the Carson Valley Inn in Minden with Joey Whitaker. Entertainment here at the Carson Valley Inn is extraordinary.
Yeah, super proud of the TJ's Corral, our outdoor venue, about 1,500 seats. We've had first-class entertainment out there. We've had Merle Haggard, we've had Chris Young, we've had Lee Brice a couple times, we've had Pat Benatar, Joan Jett, who's in the Hall of Fame. We're real proud out there, and it's just a great time. Watch CarsonValleyInn.com and grab those tickets early. It's not a long way to get away to the Carson Valley Inn.
Pro Group Management offers workers' comp services to a growing number of industries. As businesses grow and change with the times, the need for a solid workers' comp program must be flexible and up to date. The evolving nature of regulations can make staying ahead of complex tasks challenging. But Pro Group Management simplifies the work so your industry can move forward and succeed. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Nevada Newsmakers Studio is located at the headquarters of the Nevada Trucking Association. Motion and purpose are a truck's greatest virtue.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, coming to you from the Ahern Hotel in Las Vegas. We are delighted to welcome back to the program John Entsminger. He is the general manager of the Southern Nevada Water Authority. It's a pleasure to have you back on the program, sir.
Great to be here and great to be back in person.
Well, yes, exactly. Let's start out. I mean, this has been the most interesting time as an observer for the last 20 years of what goes on at the Southern Nevada Water Authority. I've never seen you so strident in your thoughts on what the other states are doing on the Colorado River, and not because it seemed over the years that there were negotiations between the states that entailed the federal government not having to be involved, and now it seems like you're really looking for the federal government to be involved. Where are we with these negotiations?
Well, we're still at the negotiating table, but in my opinion, at least, things are not moving quickly enough. The last 2 years we've had on the river have taken a bad situation and made it much worse. And if we have another couple of bad, water years, these reservoirs are going to get to truly critically low elevations, and that's why I think you see us, in your words, being a little bit more strident, saying that the federal government needs to take more of a leadership role because we really don't have that much time to reach these voluntary agreements.
All right, so with my experience with water and the federal government, it's always seemed that it takes longer than less time. It seems in past years, the negotiations between the states were quiet and smoother and keeping the federal government out, but things were being accomplished. Whereas you look at the Truckee River Operating Agreement with Senator Reed, that took 30 years to do through the federal government. We don't have 30 years.
We don't, but I do think, when we look, backwards at the Colorado River, there's a tendency to focus on the good things that have been accomplished. But when we finished the 2007 guidelines, that started with then Interior Secretary Gail Norton threatening the states that if we didn't come up with an agreement that the federal government would unilaterally do shortage guidelines. Getting the drought contingency plan through Congress in 2019 looks like a kumbaya success in the rearview mirror, but Commissioner Berman in December of 18 said if we didn't get it done, the federal government would step in and act unilaterally. So the catalyst for a lot of these cooperative successes has been credible threats from the federal government.
All right, so what's the worst case scenario that you can observe from the federal government to the states in terms of having to cut back?
That they unilaterally determine what each state, maybe even what each water user has to cut back, and you're then not having a voice in how that's being done. It's being done in an uncompensated way, and no one wants the federal government to be the sole arbiter of picking winners and losers.
When you look at California, you're working with the Metropolitan Water District to be able to come up with funding to help them that will therefore benefit Nevada to the extent of 30,000 acre-feet of water, correct, per year.
That's right.
Which is 10% of what the normal water allotment is to Nevada. So that's actually a pretty huge amount of water, even though it doesn't necessarily sound like it. Are there negotiations ongoing with the Imperial Valley Water District in terms of them being able to do something with you to allot more water to Nevada?
Certainly not to allot more water to Nevada. I mean, the situation on the Colorado River is, realistically, everyone has to use less. And it's not, one user using less so that somebody else can use more. It's literally across 7 states and 2 countries, everybody's going to need to use less because there's simply not the amount of water being replenished every year that is currently being utilized.
All right, so how are they responding at this point in time? Or are they just waiting for the federal government to say, okay, this is your allotment, boom?
Well, Commissioner Tootin, who heads up the Bureau of Reclamation, testified in the Senate in June that between 2 to 4 million acre-feet of reductions beyond what's already been agreed to need to be made to get this river system into equilibrium. So let's start with that lower number of 2 million acre-feet. Right now, California has put on the table 400,000 acre-feet. Arizona has floated sort of similar numbers. So the numbers that have been made public, at least, we're not even halfway to the lower end of the goal that the federal government is telling us needs to be reached in order to slow, if not stop, the decline in these big reservoirs that we've been seeing.
Desalination, plans to capture the runoff from floodwaters in the Los Angeles basin, those are all very long-term goals, are they not?
Well, they could be accelerated. I mean, you could build a big desal facility within 3 to 5 years if there's the political will and the financial resources to do so, but it's also pretty small in the big picture of things. The only major desalination facility to come online in California in the last 20 to 30 years at Carlsbad produces 50 million gallons of water a day. Right? Whereas our facilities at Lake Mead can pump 900 million gallons a day. So while desal can certainly be part of the equation, certainly for urban users, it's not a silver bullet that's going to get this river system back into balance.
All right, what about the flash floodwaters that are billions of gallons of water that escape into the ocean?
I'm not aware of them trying to capture and treat the floodwaters. The project we're working on with Metropolitan is their effluent, right? So right now, every shower, every toilet that gets flushed in Southern California, the vast majority of that water gets treated and discharged out into the Pacific. So what our partnership with Met is to treat that to an even higher standard, build a distribution system through 4 groundwater basins in Southern California, recharge those aquifers and allow that water to be reused. And that'll probably produce about 160,000 acre feet of water, which this year we're going to use about 228,000 for perspective. So not as much as Las Vegas uses in 1 year, but pretty close, through that one project. And for our financial investment in that, Metropolitan will then leave a piece of their Colorado River entitlement in Lake Mead for our use.
Okay, are there other plans like this in the works? Are they allowed to specifically name the states that you're working with? Are there other plans like that in the works?
Not that I'm aware of. That's the major one.
You'd be aware of.
That's the major one that we're involved with. I mean, people ask me about desalination all the time, and I say, where's a being built, because if someone's moving forward with a major desal facility either in coastal California or the Pacific side of Baja, we'll absolutely be interested in investing in that, but probably at a 10, 15, 20% equity partner kind of level. We're not going to be out there building a $4 billion desal facility all by ourselves.
Is the California Coastal Commission willing to allow desal to be built like that?
Not thus far. I mean, I've read about a very small one that apparently they permitted here in the last couple of weeks, but they had denied the permits for a bigger one, also within the last few months.
Why do you think that is? Do they not understand the situation? It's got to be very frustrating for you.
Well, I mean, we're focused on taking care of ourselves.
Right.
We have the tools, we've built the infrastructure, we have the conservation plan to take care of ourselves. So while I think more desal should be built in California, frankly, I haven't spent a lot of time studying the rationale of the California Coastal Commission for why some of these have been denied.
And what about Mexico? I mean, that's been discussed on and off for years. It's kind of surprising, considering Mexico's economy, that they wouldn't be, trying to push that, much quicker, especially if there was investment from Nevada.
Yeah, and I do think probably the single best location for a major desalination facility is at Rosarita Beach, just to the north of Tijuana. There's already a power facility there. There's a good footprint for that kind of industrial facility. So I think a plant, probably will be built there. It's a matter of where the price point is, because to build a desalination facility, the capital cost, amortize that over 30 years plus the operation and maintenance cost, is about $2,000 per acre foot of produced water. Wow. Right? We sell water to our member agencies for $340. So you're talking, 5-6 times the current market for someone to make that sort of investment. And I think it will get there, and that type of investment will be made. But again, we need a big partner who's going to take that water on the coast and exchange water upriver for us to use before we can do it, right? We can't pioneer something like that. We need someone else to be moving forward with it.
Right, and as we've talked about on this program many times, you're not going to build a pipeline from the California coastline or the Mexican coastline to Nevada. That makes no sense whatsoever.
No, that would be cost prohibitive.
Mexico currently is allowing water to be stored in Lake Mead, correct?
Right, so the U.S. is allowing Mexico to store water in Lake Mead.
Okay, who else is currently storing water in Lake Mead to allow the water level not to drop further?
Well, Metropolitan has intentionally created surplus in Lake Mead. The Central Arizona Project has water stored in Lake Mead, and the Southern Nevada Water Authority. There are some sub-accounts that would probably bore your listeners to death, but those are the major entities.
Okay, so as bad as it looks from the perspective of looking at the bathtub ring around Lake Mead, it could be a lot worse if there wasn't this storage.
Yeah, well, and not just the storage, but a lot of the system conservation programs that we've engaged with, as you said, doing conservation activities in Mexico. If you add up all the steps that the states have taken since about 2005, but for those actions, Lake Mead would actually be, I think it's about 65 feet lower than it is today. So a lot has been done, but unfortunately a lot more needs to be done.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back with more with the head of the Southern Nevada Water Authority after this timeout.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
I'm here at the Carson Valley Inn in Minden with Joey Whitaker. One of the things I love about the Carson Valley Inn here in beautiful downtown Minden is CB steak. I have eaten here so many times. Tell folks what they can expect when they come here to eat.
It's a beautiful room, great service. We have certified Angus beef, seafood, lamb, a great range of appetizers, and wonderful desserts. Jean-Michel's done a great job of selecting some beautiful wines for us. The customers love it, and we've got a great selection of cocktails as well. It's not a long way to get away to the Carson Valley Inn.
Everyone is talking about opioids, but they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with John Entsminger. He's the general manager of the Southern Nevada Water Authority. The growth in southern Utah is extraordinary around St. George, and yet they don't seem to be willing to put in the same water conservation measures that Southern Nevada has put in. In fact, I mean, you could look all around the Colorado River Basin and see the same story. Why is it that people haven't figured that out at this point?
Well, you know, the old saying, necessity is the mother of invention, right? I think we have been the most aggressive, you know, area of urban water conservation in the Colorado River Basin for 2 decades because we had to. Right, we have a legal entitlement to 1.8% of the Colorado River, and with the population growth we've seen, you know, in our valley, we've had to be innovative. We've had to find new ways to conserve and new ways to grow with a much smaller water footprint because we had to. But I do think other parts of the basin, other parts of the West, are beginning to take similar steps, and we signed a memorandum of agreement with Denver Water, Pueblo, the city of Aurora, Colorado, as well as the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California in August, basically committing to best practices. So removal of non-functional turf, limiting watering by day of week, by time of day. And it needs to be, you know, specific to each locality, but it's the first time big cities across the West agreed on a set of principles for how water should be conserved. And to their credit, Washington County, Provo, Santa Fe, Albuquerque, a number of cities in California and Arizona are all interested in signing on. And we think by, you know, sometime in November, another 20 to 25 cities might be essentially taking the pledge that, you know, climate change is real. We have to be much smarter about how we use water, and we're going to have these uniform principles for cities across the western U.S.
As you look at the scientific data, there's no reversal of this process, is there?
No, in fact, I keep telling people to stop saying drought. You know, a drought is a temporary phenomenon, something that's going to end, and, you know, the wet times, the good times will return. I believe strongly, and the best climate change scientists in the world are telling us, this isn't a drought. This is the long-term aridification of the American Southwest. And adapting to that warmer, drier future is going to require sacrifice across sectors, across states, and across 2 countries.
You know, in the past there's been discussion about moving from water from where it is to where it needs to be, but those were tens of billions of dollars in cost. Do you ever see those kind of projects ever going through with the environmental situation we have in this country?
I'm not someone who's counting on a major, you know, transnational pipeline from the Mississippi or from the Columbia. You know, those things have been floated, as you said,
Sure.
for, you know, 30, 40 years. There was a federal commitment in 1968 legislation to augment this river system, and 50 years on, absolutely nothing of that scale has happened. I do think around the edges. There can be some augmentation, via, desalination, via water recycling, but that sort of, transcontinental bailout, I don't see that in the cards.
All right, let's take another break and we'll be right back with John Entsminger. He's the head of the Southern Nevada Water Authority after this.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
I'm here at the Carson Valley Inn in Minden with Joey Whitaker, and you've got a lot of convention space and meeting breakout space for people. Tell us about what's available.
Well, we can handle a group up to about 250, and anywhere as small as 10 or 15. So it really depends on what you're looking for, what the customer's looking for. We're open to anything. It's a beautiful drive, and if you live in South Reno, it's probably about 30-35 minutes, so it's real easy to get to. It's not a long way to get away to the Carson Valley Inn.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with John Entsminger. He's the general manager of the Southern Nevada Water Authority. So how close are we, especially if we have another poor winter, to getting to the point where we're not going to be generating electricity from these dams?
Much closer than we should be comfortable with. The current 24-month study from the Bureau of Reclamation, which as its name suggests projects out over the next 2 years, shows that in calendar year 2024 we could be down into the 900s, right? So my entire lifetime, Lake Mead's elevation above sea levels had 4 digits,
right?
When it's completely full, when it's spilling over like it did in the early 80s, it's at about elevation 1220 above sea level. So getting down to where you're saying it's 980 something within the next 24 months is a very, very concerning number. And Hoover Dam stops generating electricity at 950. So you could be within 30, 40 feet in the next 24 months of reaching the point you suggest.
What would be the repercussion if we stop generating electricity from Hoover Dam?
Well, inside of Nevada, the biggest impacts are going to fall on Boulder City and Lincoln County, because they have power contracts from when Hoover Dam was constructed. But the vast majority of hydropower is used within California because they largely funded the construction of Hoover Dam. So it'd be a relatively small impact locally. The Southern Nevada Water Authority, for instance, gets about 12% of our overall energy portfolio, and we would have to replace that out on the open market.
So you would have to do some kind of water importation, or energy importation.
Yeah, well, we own and operate our own electric grid, right? The loop around the valley. So, and we have an in-house power purchase group, and they hedge out our power purchases, so they would just have to add to those over the next 3-4 years.
So potentially the cost could skyrocket.
The cost would go up, but when you're talking about only needing to replace about 12% of your overall portfolio, it wouldn't be a staggering difference on people's bills.
When the third straw was under construction, there were a lot of people that were concerned about the cost. At this point, what an investment.
Yeah, I mean, our community invested that, $1.5 billion between the third intake and the low lake level pumping station. And sitting here today, that's what gives us comfort that even at these lower elevations, you could reach dead pool where it's physically impossible to release water through Hoover Dam downstream to 25 million Americans in California and Arizona, and we still have a safe and reliable water supply for Southern Nevada because our community made those investments.
And that includes the growth that's coming.
Absolutely, and that's why we do a 50-year resource plan every single year so that we can always have a fresh 5-decade outlook on how we're going to take care of not only the people that are already here, but the people we reasonably expect to be calling Southern Nevada home in 2072.
It's always a pleasure to have you on the program. Not always a pleasure for the topic, but a pleasure to have you, sir. And please come back soon, and let's keep our fingers crossed for a good winter.
Absolutely. Good to see you again, Sam.
Thank you, John. And we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Renee Summerhour, digital news anchor here at 7 at 7. Watch our streaming nonstop newscast immediately with your mobile phone. 7 at 7 is the new way for you to get every bit of local news you need in just 7 minutes. Breaking news, local neighborhood news, weather, and sports are just a click away. Reporters bring you all of what's happening in the Valley. From Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, YouTube, and more. Get every bit of local news you need from the RJ and LVRJ.com.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators, from the exotic to the everyday, trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers as we broadcast from the Ahern Hotel on Sahara Avenue in Las Vegas. We'll have more coming to you from Las Vegas in upcoming shows. We'll see you then. Thanks for watching.